So I know I've already revealed on the channel that I am clearly a bit of a nerd. That is no secret to anyone who knows me in real life, anybody who sees me on here. But that said, how many of you guys play tabletop games? Because that's what we're talking about in this video. First up, we've got, hey, what you drawing? This is my first ever tabletop RPG character. His name is Ruvale Whitler. He usually goes by Rue. He is a half-elf rogue, and I don't have very much on him yet because we have not gotten to play very much, but I still adore him, and despite the fact that we have not gotten to play very much, this video is going to be about the few shenanigans that we got into. Now with this, he goes by Rue most often. He is, like I said, our party's rogue. This is also his very starting design, like from the beginning of the campaign, because after one of our early sessions into our campaign, and when I say early sessions, I think it was like our first or second one, because that's all we've gotten to do, he should have a scar on his face. Not because he's dumb, but because I'm dumb. We were going into a place, there was a bunch of things, there was something clearly hiding amongst a bunch of like broken, busted furniture and whatnot, and because I'm an idiot and we tried to draw it out, that didn't work. I decided I was gonna just be dumb, because I guess we could have just left the room looking back on it, but I'm a dumb. So I got really close and I stuck my head in there and I really, I think I had to do a saving throw and I was not good at it. I rolled really low. I don't think it was a nat 1, but it was pretty daggone low. I got slashed across the face by, I believe it was a bugbear. I believe. I would have to ask Dundra to make sure, but I believe. So he should have a scar for post very beginning of the campaign, but this is very beginning of the campaign. I really wanted to draw Rue, but with that, let's get into essentially how my younger brother's character almost died in the one-shot kind of thing that we did before we even started the campaign. Okay, so, quick rundown. We've got me as our party rogue, Rue. We've got Andy, my sister, as I know she was a gnome. I believe she was a sorcerer. She was a spellcaster, and she was a spellcaster. I don't remember what class specifically. I want to say sorcerer. She was our spellcaster. Her name was Cinna. I will be mentioning a little bit about Cinna in here. She was very interesting. I think chaotic neutral was her alignment, and Andy embraced the chaos of it, the chaotic part of that, and it was wonderful, and I love her. I may have to draw like almost all of our party. My partner, Raven, she was our party bard, Saoirse. My brother-in-law, Dundra, I'm going by everybody's either YouTube or pseudonyms here, except for my little brother, who I messaged him to ask him what he would prefer, but he has not gotten back to me now, and I really need to record this, so that was like 20 minutes ago, so yeah. Worst part is, okay, he was also our fighter, and not only was he our fighter, he was a dwarf, and not only in this does he not actually have a nickname, none of us, not even him, because I asked him like last week, none of us remember his character's name. None of us do. I even found my binder and Raven's binder from when we were playing. It's not in our notes, because I think whenever we started, we initially had notebooks. And Lord, I don't know where those are whenever we started the one-shot, and we wrote down each other's names in them. But despite the fact that we wrote down each other's names in them, yeah, that didn't make it into the binders, which sucks, because I went looking for the binders, and I found them, but not our notes. So, that's gonna be fun to navigate around. But my brother-in-law, Dundra, he was our DM. No, we did not have a healer, because we're brilliant like that. I think that Dundra was actually going to incorporate some kind of little NPC for that in the party, and we were which we had fun. We made it through the one shot without a healer, and that was pretty good. Now that said, this is primarily about the one shot more than the actual campaign. Now the reason we haven't played very much is because we started this back before the panini. I still hate that I don't know for sure whether or not YouTube will automatically hit stuff for saying the actual word. But we started it back before all the lockdowns and everything, and then we got like 1 or 2 sessions in. I want to say it was only 1, but like 1 or 2 sessions into the actual campaign, and then the lockdowns happened, so we weren't able to play, especially because I work in a healthcare setting. That made it hard because it was almost impossible to tell whether or not I had been exposed, and we played at my grandparents' house, and that was obviously a risk. So it was one of those things, a game was not worth potentially causing problems with sickness for my family, especially because, you know, they lived with my grandparents. That was where we held the game, and Andy has immune issues, I have immune issues, and there was like a toddler in the house. So yeah, no, we were not going to risk that. But anyway, we hadn't gotten to play since, because before we could start playing again, my brother and his wife moved to another state, so that makes it difficult, and we still haven't gotten to play. I really want to. I honestly, before that, had never played anything like Pathfinder before. We were using the Pathfinder system. We were able to start playing around the time of 2nd edition coming out, and so we went for 2nd edition, and we got that. Dundra got that. He's got like the handbook and a few different things. It's honestly really cool. But I got interested in it because I started watching things like Critical Role and stuff like that, and I started listening to like tabletop RPG horror stories on YouTube that people were reading, and I really enjoyed that, and it made me want to play. So I was really excited whenever it came down to getting a chance to play. But it ended up in such shenanigans, but in the best kind of shenanigans, and I love it. And if I can, you know, me and Raven, Andy, and pretty sure Dundra, we all want to play again because it was so much fun, and if we could find a way to play, that would be wonderful. So let's get into this. This is essentially going to be how my younger brother's character, because of course the one whose name we can't remember, and the person whose character it is the one who I don't have a nickname for. I might end up with one partway through, we'll see if he messages me back, is one of the focuses of this story, because that is, of course, how things go. But I don't exactly have many other shenanigans stories. I'm sorry, I keep laughing. Let's get into this. Like I said, I was the party's rogue. I was our sneaky sneak. We had so much fun with this. We got started, and of course, you know, we picked up a job, and it was just a simple dungeon run. That was what it was supposed to be. It was just a little one-shot. Because of time constraints and the fact that we are all shenanigans and are overthinking things, we had to end up splitting it into 2 sessions. But I believe this happened during the first one. So here we are. We're going through this dungeon, right? And so far, things have gone pretty good. We haven't had much issue, and we come up on an area that's really dark. And now, this whole time, Cinna, our spellcaster, Andy's character, has been just nothing but chaotic, and it's hilarious because I think my brother was trying to play his character really serious, and I'm just the awkward, I don't know, you guys, you're weird and ridiculous, and why are you like this kind of character? And Cinna has been asking everybody for a piece of their hair. I don't remember why, but it was like she'd be in the middle of a conversation, just can I have a piece of your hair? And that was literally how it would come on, and the first time she did it, we're like, what? And she's just this chaotic little gnome who is adorable and really out there and not all there upstairs. And we love her. And she is definitely our glass cannon. And she's definitely our glass cannon. I think, if I'm not mistaken, whenever we did the one-shot, we were still using 1st edition. For the record, 2E kind of nerfed magic missile a little bit. In case anybody's wondering, that will be relevant towards the very, very end. But so we're going through this dungeon. We're managing pretty well. We're all chill. We're making it through okay. Nothing major's really happened, I don't think, if I'm remembering correctly. There must have been nothing major happened, or else I'd remember it, I suppose. And we come across this big cavernous room in the dungeon. I think it's like a network of caves, if I remember right. And it's so dark. So dark. And I remember that we're trying to figure out before we go forward, because we're not stupid, and just because I can be dumb sometimes with how I play Rue does not mean that I am completely stupid. So we stop at the entrance and we're looking around, and it's dark. It's like dark. So because we're not just gonna walk in there, Cinna casts, I think it was dancing lights, something like that, in the middle of the room. And because she did that instead of us, or as far as she could, into the room, because we did that instead of just walking into the room, yeah, we actually managed to do the smart thing. This huge spider, like, descends from the ceiling and starts attacking the lights and just starts having a go at them, which is good because that means it didn't surprise attack us, thank God. And because we now have the light, for one thing, again, giant spider. If I'm not mistaken, I gave Rue my fear of spiders, so he is not happy. He is not happy at all about this. And he is suggesting in messages that I refer to my brother as Doofus. I am not going to do that, JK or not, regardless. Anyway, so with the light, we can now see that there are spider webs all over this room, and it really gets just revealed that there are spider webs all over this room. So we're trying to figure out how to handle this because there is a giant spider that we do not know how to handle this for. But the fact that I mentioned the webs becomes very relevant because Saoirse, I believe, turned to Rue and goes, does anybody have a torch? At this point, we've been moving around trying to figure out a good way to, get ourselves to where we can attack the spider. So, of course, I dig in my bag, Rue starts going through his bag, pulls out a torch, gives it to Saoirse, along with, I believe, something to light it with. And what Saoirse does, now keep in mind, none of us thought to check this until after it was too late. Saoirse uses the torch to set the webs on fire. Well, my brother's character is standing in some of the webs. So, as the fire spreads, and, he's really close and it spreads fast, and it does work. It does get the spider caught on fire, and it does help. But it also catches his character on fire very quickly before he can move away. So he's on fire, and he has to roll, there has to be a roll done to determine how much damage was done. I think it was a lot, if I remember right. And it became a running joke, because once everything was done, once the spider was put down, once he was not on fire anymore, he turns to Saoirse and just, what? Why did you do that? You set me on fire! I could have died! And Saoirse just, but did you die though? Because we can't just, we have to do shenanigans. And we were having so much fun. Yeah, I think he held a grudge because it kept on coming up. It was so funny. Every time you turn around, it was just some jab about, well, at least I'm not on fire this time. And just, oh, well, you didn't die, so. It was ridiculous and funny and hilarious. And because of that, it actually carried over into the start of our first campaign. Because there was this little fire imp thing that we had to fight early on, and my brother mentioned just my character, with all this fire around him, just gets this unsettling feeling that makes him nervous about it, like he's been through something like this before. And I know it was going to be a consistent running joke if things had kept going. And I wish things had, because it was just so funny. Because the running joke, anytime something happened, Raven's just, but did you die though? Ow, my shoulder popped. I don't know if that was audible on the mic, but it was just so much fun. And coming back to Cinna being our glass cannon in the one shot, I had to laugh because we came to this big pool of water or something. A pool of water, river, stream, something like that. And of course, a monster emerges from it. Now keep in mind, I said that and this is very true, 2nd edition nerfed magic missile. So we have this monster emerges from the water. So of course, we roll initiative. Well, Cinna's top of the initiative order. Very tippy top of the initiative order. Now keep in mind, this thing has just emerged from the water. We knew something was in there, so it didn't really catch us off guard. But this thing emerges from the water. It's like this big water monster. And Cinna rolls. Cinna rolls. Cinnamon rolls. Sorry. I'm weird. Yeah, I know I've said this before. I am weird. Anyway, okay, so for right now, my brother's just going to be D. Wish I had thought of that sooner. Thank you, Andy. Anyway, like I said, Cinna's very tippy top of the initiative order. Goes for magic missile. Rolls a crit. And then on top of that, manages to roll, legit, rolls really well to hit. Definitely hits, I believe, a crit. And then rolls, max damage with her dice. So this thing that was supposed to be, a big bad out of there, towards the end of it, so it was, one of the bigger monsters. Here we are. This thing has just emerged. Dundra's put the little standee on the map. And in one move, it's dead. And Dundra just flicks it over. It just... because it's gone immediately. He just looks so done. Because he didn't even get to actually use the big monster that was supposed to be one of the harder ones in the dungeon. He didn't even get to use it. Because it just one shot, done. It was down for the count immediately. And it was hilarious, and we loved it. And we just had to laugh so hard over that, just because the look on his face was just heckin' really? Heckin' really? Because you could tell he'd been looking forward to that fight, because it was probably going to be one of the fights that actually drove, a good bit. Would have actually gone on for a little bit, because I think up to that point, we had maybe had, a handful of goblins or something that we fought, and I know we fought some skeletons, because I got the how do you want to do this on that. And I was very happy because I essentially just used my dagger to just pop the head of the skeleton off. And I was very happy with that, though. Anyway, so, yeah, the monster's just down for the count. I can't even remember, actually, how the dungeon ended, but I know it was, like, shenanigans, and we had fun, and it was so much fun. And I want to play again. I really want to play again. If any of you haven't tried your hand at tabletop, I totally encourage it. Sometimes it can be hard to find a group. I got really fortunate with the people who played, that we were all just a bunch of ridiculous, chaotic shenanigans all together. And I know I got fortunate, and it could be hard to find a table sometimes, especially, like, I know I've mentioned before, I live in the middle of the Bible Belt. It can be really hard to find a table sometimes. It's like, that's one reason why we haven't been able to play again, because we just haven't had an opportunity and haven't been able to find another table either. Me and Raven are thinking of looking into online tabletop just for a chance to be able to play again, because we think it would be so much fun. And what got me thinking about all this really was that we sat down and we watched the second season of Legend of Vox Machina, which, if you haven't seen that, please go watch it. It's so much fun. It's not for kids. It's not for kids. I don't know the age range of people watching my stuff. It's not for kids. There's quite a bit of kind of more adult-leaning content, but it's so much fun. It's such good shenanigans, and I love the whole thing. So, if you guys have any fun D&D stories, or Pathfinder, or Starfinder, or anything kind of tabletop experiences, even if it's just board games, let me know, because I love reading other people's stories, and I love knowing the kind of fun incidents and situations that other people have gotten into. So that's about it for this one. I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about next week. I may start a little bit. I know I'm still working on stuff for Trace, but I really wanted to draw Rue, and I might take some time to draw the rest of the campaign, of the characters from our campaign, the rest of the characters from our group. I think that would be a lot of fun, and I may have to do that. But for right now, I think this is about it. Thank you to Inside Chaos, my patron, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!